Never bashful about talking. The thing you have to ask Yvonne how long you want me to talk, because you probably have to throw something. If I talk too long, just walk out, throw something at me or whatever. It won't offend me. I've probably been experienced it all. You have to be pretty thick skinned for the career that I had anyway. Can I move this just
Yes, sir.
No disrespect to the flag attendant there. Well, look, first of all, let me start at the end, and then I'll go back to start. I brought a bunch of Sarcoa books. I've been there since the early July. Somebody asked, well, why'd you go back to work? Well, I have been, when I got back to Headland in the summer of 2018, when I retired my last job, my sister are Linda Padgett and Lisa Slaker. Some of those who know me know that. Linda's been teaching at the elementary school here for 30-something years. How long she's going to teach? Until she gets tired of it, I guess. I think she's kind of hoping she can teach her little grandkids that are just now coming up over there, but she's not committing to anything yet. I said, well, you got to teach my grandkid too. She said, I don't think so. He's just 1 year old. So a friend asked me. He said, hey, you have a lot of Greek. Why don't you do something with it instead of let it vegetate? I said, well, I got several. My dad's Duro died back in April. He practiced law here in Headland for 60-some years. In fact, his storefront's still up there. We just sold it. In fact, we'll be closing on it in a couple of weeks. Sold it real quickly. But people ask me, and why don't you go practice law? No lawyers in Headland. I said, you know how long it's been since I practiced law? I said, 1983 is a long time ago. I did do legal work in the bureau, but not practicing law, handling divorces and title work and wills and stuff. I said, I'd really probably have to go back to law school if I want to practice law again. So I'd really rather not, but when this opportunity came up, I said, well, this is more narrow in focus. I did at the university where I worked for the last 10 years before I finally retired. I reviewed contracts for them. So I was contract lawyer and chief of police and director of public safety. It's like any job. Just because your job description says it, that doesn't necessarily mean that's all you're going to be doing. Same with teachers too. So I said, well, this sounds like it might be pretty interesting. So I'm still there 2 months later. We'll see. Check back with me in a year or two. I don't know. But it's fun. It's a great organization. I didn't even know what Sarcoa stood for. And if you don't, it's South Alabama Regional Council on Aging. Their focus is to keep the elderly at home as long as possible. They have a lot of in-home services they provide. It's really amazing. So grab a couple of those books when you leave and give them to your friends. Just get the word out. It's been around since the mid-90s, so it's an old organization. There's 13 of those agencies in the state of Alabama. We cover 7 counties, I think, might be 9 counties. But it's a real good organization. I'm very impressed with the people and what they do. So that's what I'm doing now. So and why they hired somebody said, well, I guess they hired you because you're old. You could identify with the class. I said, maybe that's it. So whatever the reason they hired me. So, but let me go back. So like Lisa said, she gave you my resume there. I grew up in Headland. Lived here from 3 months on till forever till I went off to school to Alabama, and then I went to law school in Birmingham. I went to law school strictly at night. I wasn't really. 2 reasons. One, I wasn't that terribly smart, so I didn't know if I could get in a big regular law school. And the other is I didn't know if I wanted to commit to a full-time law school. So a friend of mine was going at night, and he said, well, it's an extra year. You can work during the day and go to law school at night, and it's not as expensive as full-time school. I said, what the heck? So I worked at a juvenile institution for a couple of years, and then I'd come home and decompress in the afternoon, and then I'd go to law school at night. So busy 4 years. The last year I got on as a law clerk. Bill Baxley was Attorney General then, for those who've been around here that long. Oh, you remember him. And he had an office in Birmingham. So he had just 3 lawyers there, and each one had their own law clerk. Well, the other 2 law clerks and I were Doug Valeska and Larry Anderson. Larry's about to retire as judge in Dothan, and Doug was DA for you. So it was odd, and I knew Doug because we were college fraternity brothers, but I didn't know Larry before then. So we were the law clerks, and we had a good time. It was a lot of interesting escapades, and Doug would always boss Larry around because he was older. So, and Larry and I still get together for lunch some now. My daughter actually clerked for him a few years ago when she was in law school. And I said, didn't you enjoy jigging Doug for all the junk he made you do, the stupid stuff, and now you're over him? He said, yeah, I get some satisfaction out of that. But they were good friends nonetheless. So when this is how I got interested in the FBI. When I was at the FBI, I was in class with students from all over the country, all backgrounds, and a lot of them said, "This is what I want to do my whole life." My dad, my grandfather, they were triple legacies, or it's just something I always wanted to do. Well, I had seen the TV show. That's about my only knowledge of the FBI until late in my law school career. We were sitting around in the conference room. Bill Baxter comes up and he's asking us, Doug and I, and we had a couple other clerks in there at that time. And he says, "What are y'all going to do when you graduate?" And I said, "I guess we'll look for a job." We were so far forward thinking, We said, "Well, we don't know." So he mentioned, "Anybody ever thought of the FBI?" And we all looked at each other. They hired lawyers? We didn't know that. I thought they hired cops and military. And so I said, "I think they hire lawyers." So I said, I made the call. I said, "Well, let me look up the number. There's an office in Birmingham, I think." I called, and this lady answered, and I remember it like it was yesterday, because she was very polite but very professional. I said, "Hey, I'm sitting around with a bunch of law clerks here. We're about to graduate law school. We understand you hire lawyers." She said, "Yes, we do, but you don't sound like what we're hiring right now." I could take that a number of ways, but I didn't. And she said, "But you just stay tuned, because we have to fill certain requirements every so often, but then we open the floodgates, every few years too. So just stay tuned if you're still interested, and watch our hiring policies." So I said, "Well, so she had my interest in a little bit." I said, "It sounds like a cool organization, get to carry a gun, wear a suit, and chase bad guys, what better job?" So I go to this bar review course, study for the bar, and we're talking about Dawn Clenny, who from Abbeville. Dawn and my mother were nurses together years ago. Nan and my mother Kate, they were county nurses. So I knew her mother, but Dawn and I, we were a year or two apart, so I really didn't know her just by name. So I see her at this bar review course, and I said, "Hey, Dawn, how you doing?" She said, I said, "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to FBI." I said, "Knock me down. I called on them, and they told me she said, "Yeah, they're not hiring your type right now." I said, "Yeah, I understand." So she goes off to Detroit, and I'm thinking, boy, I don't know if I want to join that organization or not, because I don't want to go. My biggest fear in joining any federal agency was getting sent to some severely cold climate. And I said, "I'll go west, but don't send me to Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin." So she comes home, and I came back to practice law with my dad and Charles Woodham for a few years. She's coming home, she's having the time of her life. She said, "I don't like Detroit much, but I love the work. I get to do a lot of fun stuff." So, and if I'm not mistaken, I think she was home one time and told me they were about to start hiring everybody. So I called the Dothan office. They had a little small satellite office, started the procedure in summer of '82. It takes, even if you're on the fast track, it takes about a year to get through. It's just so much involved in the background search. So I started in summer of '82, got married. A couple months later, my wife had to be on board with it. That's a fatal mistake, is not getting your spouse on board with a job that transfers you around. I've known agents that had to bail out because the spouses didn't like it. And it was either male, and not necessarily the male agent. Sometimes the female agent and the male spouse didn't like it. But anyway, so we joined up. We got our wish. I moved 10 times in 25 years. One of the attractions to me was seeing the country. I'd lived here all except the first 3 months of my life. My wife too, we wanted to get out and see the world, So we went to Houston, we went to San Francisco, went to New Orleans. Lisa went through them, 10 times, 10 different moves in 25 years, and loved every one of them, had a ball. So anyway, what I'm gonna do, I give you a few little snapshots from each office of some things that just kind of cute little stories. And you like to tell the good stories. There's stories I can tell you that are pretty sad and tragic, but I try to avoid those in this kind of setting if possible. If you want to hear those, sidebar, I can tell you later. But we had a great time. So you got to go through the training school. The 3 things they'll train you on, it's about a 4-month training, is classroom, learning all the policies, procedures, laws, investigative techniques, stuff like that. And then you got to pass all these physical fitness exams, and you have to know how to shoot. My concern was I'd only bird shot. I had never shot a revolver or a pistol in my life. I said, that's gonna be, but they said, don't go out and buy one. They want to train you from scratch, and which is the right thing to do too, because I ended up doing fine and everything. So when you finish, they send you anywhere but the top 10 offices as a 2-year training tour, and mine was Houston, which wasn't one of the top 10s. So I was ecstatic. I said, hey, it's warm weather. It's what I'm used to. So before they send me to Buffalo, let's go to Houston. So we go there, and so I'm in the office and been there probably 2 or 3 months. There was a guy from Heaven who lived in Houston, played with the Houston then Oilers football team. Anybody remember what his name was? Anybody remember a guy from Heaven that played with the Houston Oilers years? Willie Tullis. Anybody remember Willie? Benny, you remember Willie Tullis? He moved back here too. I haven't seen him since we've been back. Willie Tullis was playing with the Oilers. I didn't know him. I knew of him because I'm from Heaven, and the only guy ever from Heaven that ever made it in the big time in NFL that I knew of. But I was trying to think of some cool way to reach out to Willie Tullis and say, hey, I'm from Heaven, just like you. Can I get some football tickets? But I couldn't think of anything. It wouldn't sound stupid. So I come in from out in the field one day, and there's a lead document on my desk. It says it's a stolen vehicle ring out of Chicago, stolen Mercedes vehicle ring. Contact Houston Oilers football player Willie Tullis and see if his car has this VIN number. If it does, seize it, contact Chicago immediately. I thought somebody had ginned this up as a joke because my squad mates had been hearing this story. And I go into my boss, he looked legit. He says, no, I didn't handle it. Coincidence or not, it's your lead, you do it. I said, well, this is not how I wanted to call Willie Tullis to take his car. So I made contact with him. He's very polite. I did tell him I'm from Heaven, this, that, and the other. I said, but are you in possession of it was a canary yellow Mercedes convertible, bright yellow. And he says, well, actually, I do have it. It says, do you have when'd you buy it? I bought it about 2 or 3 months ago. And he brought it from this company called Star Motors, which was notorious for selling hot cars, we knew anyway. But athletes didn't know that. They weren't, never had any indication they were involved in it. So I said, well, I need to come out and check it. You got your paperwork, and we need to look at the VIN number. So I'm brand new. I take a senior agent out there with me. He has this little mirror, like a dentist mirror, because he's done a lot of vehicle theft cases. So we look at the car. We spotted it instantly when we drove in the parking lot because it's so yellow. And Willie meets us there. We said, well, we look on the first place you look for VIN numbers up on the dashboard. It didn't match the stolen one. I said, good. I'm making contact and I'm not taking his car. So Royce, my partner, he says, well, there's a few more places to check. So we opened the door jamb. There's one there. It was the same as on the VIN number. Opened the hood. There's one on the engine block. I said, let's 3 times. He says, there's one other one that they often won't change, the bad guys. He said, would you mind popping your trunk? That's where the little dentist mirror comes in. And it's behind the hinge. So if you ever want to look, you're going to probably find a VIN number behind the hinge somewhere along there. And by golly, they were the originals that had never been altered. So I told him, I said, sorry, Willie, you got to take your car. So we called this record, tow it to the impound. Bright orange record hauling this bright yellow car away. It's like a sunburst image. So, but Willie I said, look, I'm going to go down to the dealer with you. You got your paperwork. It looks like you paid a fair market value for it, and we'll see what they say. So I didn't have to do it, but I was right.